Kawasaki ZX10R 2021. So if you want to learn how to polish up your bike, basically keeping it in pristine shape if you drop it or if you get it scratched up. So what I did here is these are the products that I use. So I got soap and water in a spray bottle. Obviously I'll wear a glove, sometimes I won't. And then this fine grit 3M auto scratch paper, sandpaper. Scratches happen, a pad, and then Scratch X by McGuire's. So if you look at my past videos where I had set this down on black rock and it got pretty scratched up, but if you look at it now, you can't even see that. A lot of that was, some of them were mostly in the clear coat, so I was able to scrub them out. So you want to keep it pretty wet when you're doing this. You want to keep it sprayed with your soap and water, and then 2,500 to 3,000 grit. You don't want to use anything lower than that. But this is what I did. I took it and I used the clear coat on this. So I used my Scratches Happen clear coat with the brush, and I went through and I touched up every single one of them on the scratches. And then I let it set for about 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours. And then I came back and I utilized my scratch pads, 2,500 grit, and I went through and I sprayed them down, and I had a light constantly on it so that I could see what I was doing. And then I went through, and with your fingers, you can feel if it's still, if the clear coat's still too high, or when it actually starts matching. Once it starts matching that, then you just wipe it off, and you want to use micro towels. You don't want to use paper towels because they have pulp and all that kind of stuff. In any case, what I did here is I went through, so I had this area here, and all the bottom down here pretty scratched up. And then my stator obviously was, cap was very scratched up, my weighted end and the knob here. But now if you look at them, they're absolutely nice. Man, I'll show you what I used. I put it on the video already, but let me show you the enamel that I used for the stator cover, the weighted end, and the clutch end. So what I used was duplicolored engine enamel with ceramic, so it withstands up to 500 Fahrenheit. And I taped off the whole bike. So basically, most of us, if you go shopping at Walmart or whatnot, you save all those plastic bags you can take and cut them in half, and then you can just start taping them with frog tape, blue tape is what I use, and cover up the entire bike. At least the section that you need up here, obviously on your fairings, your mirror, your tank, your seat, that kind of thing, and obviously your pegs. So then you're able to do a good job and spray it down. But what's really important here is fairings are expensive. I mean, you're looking at about a $1,500 to $2,000 fix if you take it to a shop and do that kind of thing. And if you have insurance, you can use that insurance, but at that point you got to consider, you know, are they going to raise my rates? And you know they will, especially if you come up on your 6 months, that kind of deal. So on a budget for less than $60, I put $60 because I bought a plug, a new oil plug kit, which is magnetic, so that way I could just change that out. So if there's any kind of filings or any kind of motor pieces, they'll stick to the end of that because it's magnetic. But you can do this. You just have to take the time and realize, you know, you probably won't be riding your bike for a few days, but at the end of the day, if you look at that, and you can get the side angles and everything, and you use the Scratch X after you've done and sanded everything down really nice, and you take that Scratch X and you basically go in an X pattern, and you just keep buffing it through, wiping it down to see, and don't let it dry on the bike, because if it dries on the bike, it's very hard to get off. I didn't do that, but that was just the result. But if you want to make this job simple, these are the things that you need, and they're very inexpensive. So if you consider $60, $50 on 1,500 to 2,000, imagine the savings that you're doing. You're basically using your time to fix your bike. But then you get to know the color of paint that you're using and how to do these things. And the more you learn, the more you save. And that's what I did. So if you look at the bikes, and if you go back through my videos, you'll see the video where I dropped the bike and it was really scratched up. I had dirt all over it and all that. But yeah, it can be done. It's just a matter of whether or not you're willing to take that time, or if you're patient enough, or if you even have the time. You might be one of those guys that works 60 hours a week, you know, Monday through Saturday, 10-hour days. I've done that before too. And being a master electrician, electrical contractor, I kind of take things on the engineering side. So I actually do study up on how to do things so that I'm able to really do the best job that I can. This is my first time ever doing this. I've never done that before, to a car, to a motorcycle, to a boat, to RV, none of that. But with the information we have at our hands today, if you know how to utilize it, you can actually accomplish a lot. And I didn't have to replace the fairings because they weren't cracked or they weren't busted up. I also painted this bar here, and because it had some scratches and I didn't like that. But in any case, just research, and hopefully this video helps you in that if your fairings are scratched and you don't like what you're seeing, you can look up the color of your bike, find it on Scratches Happen, and go from there. Stay vigilant and practice.